forcibly attained the prosperity of the entire creation with his austerities by forcing Brahmaji to give him benedictions. At that time, he had prosperity to an extent which cannot be imagined. Sa itham nirjitataku ekarad vishayan priyam. So what was the extent of his prosperity? Nirjitataku, he was unconquerable in all the 14 planetary systems. He was the only sole controller. Ekarad, one and only. Vishayan priyam, and he had access to all the sense objects in the entire creation. Everything was available. All sense objects were available. Vishayan priyam. So naturally, if someone has all the sense objects available all the time, one may think that the person must be in ecstasy, in bliss. Yathopajosham bhunjano, and he could enjoy with any of those sense objects anytime. Yathopajosham, as much as he would have liked. But the last line of the verse says, Na atripya ajitendriya. He was completely dissatisfied. There was a deep dissatisfaction in Hiranyakashipu's heart, in spite of having everything. Why? Ajitendriya, because his senses were not under control. Because his senses were not under control, he was perpetually dissatisfied. And therefore, the Bhagavatam describes the nature of the senses and the nature of the sense objects is inherently the Lord has created the design in such a way that sense gratification can give some temporary, momentary, mental feelings, but it cannot create satisfaction. Just like, Deepak from Vrindavan, he tells this story. In the early 70s, they were having a festival, and then, it was fasting till evening, and the Aarti was starting. When Aarti started, the altar opened, and there were many offerings which had just been offered. And there was a fantastic looking carrot cake right in the middle. That cake looked so attractive. And everybody's eyes was on the cake and they were all contemplating when the aarti would end and when the prasad would start and when we could get a piece of this. And they were contemplating, meditating, thinking about it. And then after the aarti, everybody sat down for prasad, and the first person, as soon as he got a piece of that cake, he pounced on it and took a bite. But the cook had forgotten to put sugar in that cake. So this person who bit that piece, the taste was exactly opposite of what he imagined. He had imagined that it would give him pleasure, but the taste was horrible. The gap between what he had expected and what he experienced was so much that it was a shock. It was not only a shock, he couldn't believe it. Not only he couldn't believe it, he didn't accept it. He looked at that cake and he thought, maybe I have taken a bite from the wrong side. Denial. Then he tried from another side. Will it change? No. Did he give up? No. He kept the cake down, started eating rice and dal, kept looking at the cake. And he thought maybe the timing was not right. He tried after some time again. This is the nature of the conditioned soul who gets royally cheated. But someone has invested time, energy and made a decision. It is not so easy for that person to accept that I have made a blunder with my choices, with my time, with my energy, and I'm actually a fool. It requires a lot of humility to accept that I made a fool out of myself. And therefore, Hiranyakashipu, he was experiencing that. Na atrupyat ajitendriya, but he could not accept it. And therefore, if one forcibly tries to enjoy in this material world, one will only experience distress. And then when Prahlad, he was again and again glorifying Lord Vishnu, Hiranyakashipu was very agitated. And in the end, after all his attempts to kill Prahlad failed, he brought Prahlad right next to the pillar. And then, pointing to that pillar, Hiranyakashipu was asking him, Yes, Tvaya Mandabhagyokto Madanyo Jagadishwara. You are repeatedly speaking about some Vishnu, that he is superior. Mandabhagyokto. You are so dull-headed. The whole universe is accepting me as a supreme. You can't accept me as supreme. Why are you again and again repeatedly glorifying that Vishnu as supreme? Madanyo Jagadishwara, that he is superior to me and he is controlling the universe. Kvasam yati sarvatra tasmas tambhena drishyate. If he is the supreme and if he is everywhere, why can't I see him in this pillar? So in this verse, in the second line, the main root cause of Hiranyakashipu's anger is revealed. Madanyo Jagadishwara. How can someone be superior to me? The ego. The false ego. And because of the false ego, a person can never acknowledge, accept, be aware and appreciate the presence of someone superior, that they could be responsible for all their prosperity. He is only obsessed with the fact that Prahlad is not accepting me as the supreme. And therefore, Madanyo Jagadishwara. So therefore, Hiranyakashipu had this false ego, and that false ego acted as that tumor. Right? I tell this story that in Bhaktivedanta Hospital near a road, but there was also there for some time. They have an operation theatre, and in that they had put a photo of Lord Narasimhadev in the operation theatre. And just before surgery, one of the patients looked at that, photo of Narasimhadev and got bewildered. He was about to get anesthesia, and he looked at that and he got bewildered. He was not a devotee. He asked the doctor, "What is that photo?" And that doctor was a devotee. He thought it's a great chance to preach. So he said, "That picture is the first surgery in history of creation." Patient said, "What was the result of that surgery?" The doctor said, "The operation was successful, patient was liberated." And therefore, Hiranyakashipu represents that false ego, false pride. And so Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diyam Koro Veda Se Trinapekha Atihinam. What Narasimhadev's nails did to Hiranyakashipu's abdomen, the same thing is done to our false ego by the words, the instructions, the desires, and the will of the devotees. When we gratefully accept the sound vibration coming in the form of the instructions of the Vaishnavas in our life, those instructions act as the drops of mercy. Kripa Bindu. The Kripa Bindu is the drops of mercy which ultimately dissolves the tumor of ego within our heart. We have like nose drop, ear drops, we take drops, nasal drops, ear drops. Like that, these are the ego drops. The drops of mercy, kripa, Devi. And so Kaviraj Goswami says, Murkhani chakshudramai vishaya lalas Vaishnavanya Varupure etika samas. I am foolish, I am fallen, I am insignificant, I am addicted to sense objects and totally unqualified to write this Chaitanya Charitamrita. Someone may say, why are you writing? If you are so unqualified, what makes you write? Then he says, Vaishnavadya Bali, on the power of the instructions of the Vaishnavas. Etikasas. I am getting this inspiration to even write this. And therefore, that's what a devotee is always approaching the Lord with a mood of gratitude. Offering gratitude to the Lord in times of prosperity. When prosperity comes, we acknowledge that more than anything else, it is only by the grace and the blessings of Lord that this prosperity, this opportunity has manifested. When Kunti Maharani is offering prayers and Krishna is leaving from Hastinapur and is proceeding towards Dwarka, the Pandavas have been declared rulers of the entire creation. Yudhishthira Maharaj has become the king of the entire planet. Kunti Maharani is the queen mother. She is the mother of the king. She is sitting at the pinnacle of prosperity. That is the moment where her consciousness is being tested, her attitude is being tested. All opposition has been wiped out. Yudhishthira Maharaj is in total control of the planet. There is no opposition. All opulence, all power, all glory is with the Pandavas. But then, what does Kunti Maharani say? That Ime Janapada Sraddha Supa Vikshvata Aushadayam Vanadri Narikudan Vanto Hevante Viruda Vikshitai. My dear Lord, the planet Earth is filled with symbols of prosperity. And what are those? Janapada Subruddha. The cities are prosperous. Supakva Aushadhi Virudha. The forests and the agricultural fields are filled with crops, plants, fruits and vegetables. Prosperity all around. And Vanadri Nadi Udarmanto. The forests, the mountains are filled with minerals and all kinds of auspicious things. Nadi Udarmanto, the rivers are filled with water. So there is no shortage of any kind of natural prosperity, financial prosperity, all kinds of prosperity is there. In the Vedic tradition, Lakshmi has 8 forms, Ashtalakshmi. So many times people think Lakshmi means only Dhanalakshmi. But Dhanalakshmi is one element. Then there is Dhanya Lakshmi, Lakshmi in the form of food, in the form of grains, in the form of vegetables. Lakshmi in the form of Gaja Lakshmi, where she is in the form of cows, cattle, all kinds of animals which produce various things through which wealth is obtained, prosperity is experienced. There is Vijay Lakshmi, Lakshmi in the form of victory. So all these are different forms of Lakshmi. Whereas in modern society there is a tendency to be focused only on Dhana Lakshmi. Lakshmi in the form of wealth or money. So she is acknowledging that he edhante tava vikshitaihi. All that prosperity which we are experiencing in this kingdom. She is not saying it's because Yudhishthira is victorious, it is because we have vanquished the Kauravas. it is because now we are in power and control. No. Edhante tava vikshitaihi. It is because of your glance. Because of your wonderful glance, your auspicious glance, your merciful glance, your transcendental glance. That glance is creating all of this auspiciousness. Right? In the first canto also the description is there. Vavasaheta viraham purushottamasya premavalokaruchirasmitaval ujalpaihi stharyam samanamaharam madhumaninam romotsavo mamayadam grivitam etayam. Mother Earth is saying, my dear Lord, all the prosperity I experienced was only because of the touch of your lotus feet. The touch of Krishna's lotus feet is the cause of all prosperity. As per Mother, Kava Saheta Viraham Purushottamasya, my dear Lord, how will I tolerate separation from you? Now that you have entered your pastimes, Viraham Purushottamasya, I cannot experience that separation anymore. Premavaloka ruchirasmitaval jalpaihi. I am addicted to seeing your beautiful smile, your loving glance. And because of your smile and your glance, there has been prosperity. Stharyam samanamaharam madhumaninam romotsavo. And because of the touch of your lotus feet upon me, I would be in ecstasy. And that transcendental ecstasy would manifest in the form of hairs on my surface standing on end. And whatever trees and plants you see on the surface of the earth, she says, it's all nothing but symptoms of ecstasy on my body because of being touched by Krishna's lotus feet. So therefore, Mother Earth is expressing gratitude that whatever prosperity I am experiencing is only because of your touch. Brahmaji in his prayers, in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, before he starts offering his prayer, Shukadeva Goswami, as he's bringing us close to the conclusion of that moment when Brahmaji is liberated and the Vishnu forms are standing right in front of Brahmaji, and Brahmaji sees millions and millions of Lord Vishnu's forms, 400 forms with all opulences in Vrindavan. At that time, the verse says, Chandrika Vishadas Merai Sakarna Apanga Swakathanam Ivare Sattvabhyam Srishti Palaka. It is said in this verse, when we come in front of the deities, the devotee should not think that I am having darshan of the deities. Yes, we are having darshan of the deities. But more important is the Lord is glancing upon us. The Lord is everywhere. So what makes coming to the temple and taking darshan of the deity special? Because when the Lord's eyes, lotus-like eyes, glance upon us, something changes within us. What changes? Chandrika Vishadas Mere Sa Aruna Apanga Vikshitaihi. The transcendental glance of the Lord creates spiritual desires within the devotee, within the devotee's heart. A desire to serve the Lord, a desire to serve the devotees of the Lord manifests as soon as we stand in front of the deities. Sa Aruna Apanga Vikshitai. So the Lord's lotus eyes have been described as having reddish complexion. And red is considered synonymous with mode of passion. And mode of passion is considered synonymous with creation. So therefore it is not technically the mode of passion, but the reddish complexion is an indication of creation. So when the Lord's eyes, the deity's glance falls upon the worshipping devotee who is standing with his hands folded and offering prayers, there is a very important transformation which happens, and that is spiritual desires start manifesting within the devotee's heart. So therefore, the spiritual desires to serve, to please, to spread the mission, these desires manifest in a powerful way. And ultimately, the devotee is hankering to transform the material desires and develop spiritual desires. And such spiritual desires are extremely important for us to progress in the path of bhakti. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his prayers, is offering na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam va jagadish kamaya mama janmani janmanishwari bhavata bhaktir ohetu. So before coming to Krishna consciousness, when we would go to temples, without knowing what is pure devotional service, that time also we would offer prayers. Only the na would not be there. Dhanam janam sundarim kavitam. And Lord Chaitanya added na. Na, dhanam. But he knew in Kali Yuga you have to add na before every word. So he added na dhanam, na janam. Because someone may think na dhanam, but janam sundarim okay. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam va. So therefore the spiritual desires manifest within the heart of the devotee when he is offering prayers to the Lord. Right? Srila Prabhupada, when he was a Grahastha and he was in Kolkata, in Sitakant Banerjee Lane, Prabhupada would stay in the ground floor, and on the first floor he had one particular room. He had given that out on rent, just let out to the Gaudiya Math brahmacharis. And they were learning Hari Namamrita Vyakaran, Sanskrit grammar, in that first floor. And the person who was teaching them was Gaur Govinda Shastri. He was also Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciple, but a Sanskrit scholar. And he was teaching those devotees there on that first floor of Prabhupada's house. So, sometimes Srila Prabhupada would come out and sit between the ground floor and the first floor in a staircase which was connecting from outside, and he would chant his japa. So Prabhupada was sitting and chanting japa. Gaur Govinda Shastri came out and sits right next to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was Grahastha that time with his family, and he was known as Abhay Charandi, or Abhay Babu they would call him. So Gaur Govinda Shastri sits right next to Srila Prabhupada. He sees Prabhupada is chanting. And then when Prabhupada completes his chanting, Gaur Govinda Shastri says to Srila Prabhupada, Abhay Babu, I just gave a lecture to these devotees inside on Prithvi Ache Jyotan Nagarani Gram, Sarvatra Prachar Vede Muranam. In every town and village the holy name will spread. I gave a lecture saying that Lord Chaitanya's movement will spread everywhere. And I don't know how will it happen. Will it ever happen? I am getting doubts in my mind. So Srila Prabhupada just got up, took 2 steps down, turned around and pointing towards Gaur Govinda Shastri, he said, if Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made that prediction that the holy name will spread in every town and village, it must happen. And then Prabhupada took 2 steps down further, and Gaur Govinda Shastri was impressed with Abhay Babu's conviction. It will happen. Oh. Then Prabhupada again stopped after taking 2 steps, turned around and pointing to Gaur Govinda Shastri. Again he said, someday a fool surrendered at the lotus feet of Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada will make it happen. And Gaur Govinda Shastri started thinking, will it be me? I am also Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, the disciple. He started like thinking, oh, it could be me. Why not? And then Abhay Babu took 2 steps down further, turned around and pointing to Gaur Govinda Shastri said, it will not be you. And at that moment, Gaur Govinda Shastri started thinking, what does Abhay Babu think? He is going to do it. How can he do it? He's a Grahastha. He's always thinking of business, business, business. How can he do it? So that is what Krishna consciousness does not depend on ashram. Krishna consciousness depends on empowerment. And empowerment depends on our sincerity, our submission. And when we are sincere and submissive and serious, so serious, sincere, submissive, whether we are in this ashram or that ashram, one attracts Krishna's grace. Gaur Krishna bhaji more kora ashirvade, nilachale asijena tomare vinashamade. So Lord Chaitanya is about to leave for South India, and Lord Chaitanya comes to Sarvam Bhattacharya's house and seeks his permission. Please give your permission, I go to South India, that I can return back here. So the word says, Hare Krishna Bhaji, Mora Kora Ashirvade. That you are worshipping Krishna in your home, please give me blessings, that I can return back. Nilachale Asijena Kumar, by your grace I may come back to Jagannath. So Prabhupada begins the purport by asking a question. Sannyasi gives blessings to Grihastha. Here sannyasi is asking Grihastha, please give blessings. How is that? So then Prabhupada himself answers, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has very clearly demonstrated that if one sincerely practices Krishna consciousness and pleases Krishna, so practice of Krishna consciousness must be sincere and one must be authentic in one's desire to please Krishna. And if Krishna is pleased, it does not matter which ashram one may be in. And therefore, although Sarvam Bhattacharya was a Grihastha, because of the sincerity with which he was practicing Krishna consciousness at home and pleasing the deities at his home, he was empowered even to bless a sannyasi. That should not be the intention or inspiration to serve the deities at home, that I'll get empowered to bless sannyasi also. But Srila Prabhupada mentions that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given that opportunity to everybody, just by the sincere practice. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is seeking blessings. Please bless me that I can return back to Jagannath Puri by your blessings. That thanks to you, I can actually come back. So therefore, a devotee is always in the mood that irrespective of whatever situation or position or ashram, I am dependent on the grace of the devotees. I am grateful to the devotees and grateful to Krishna for all these opportunities I am getting. So Srila Prabhupada was sitting at the airport, many devotees had come to see him off. And then suddenly the airport authorities saw there was like a huge sea of devotees and there was like some problem with the, approach to the terminal. And the airport authorities came and requested the devotees, can you just move from here and go to the other place that you are sitting right in the middle. So, the airport authorities told the devotees that, okay, your main traveler, main person here is this one. So let him be there with one or two other people, others can you move so that you are not blocking the flow. So the president who was there, airport president, he stood right next to Prabhupada and he announced, can we have all the ISKCON devotees move to the other side? Can we all have the ISKCON devotees move to the other side? Please, there's a request from the airport authorities. All ISKCON devotees, please move. And everybody is sitting right next to Prabhupada. Nobody wants to move. They're all looking at each other. You move, you move. Nobody was moving. Suddenly Prabhupada got up. He started moving. The president looked at Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, the announcement was not for you. Prabhupada said, I am not ISKCON devotee. So, whatever position, situation we may have, a devotee always acknowledges with gratitude that this prosperity is thanks to your presence. So that's what Brahmaji in that episode. The Lord's glance creates desires. And then the next line says that Chandrika Vishada Smerai Sa Arapanga Vimshite. So then the question arises yes, the Lord's glance creates desires to serve, but when I start serving, as a result of serving, there are challenges during service. There are difficulties in service. And I always do not, get that experience which I would have expected in performing that service. So the service becomes filled with challenges, and sometimes the challenges grow to such an extent one may even start contemplating, should I continue this service or should I give up? So what happens is that
battery.
Is it time that it's 7:40 to speak to today or so? So, when challenges come, difficulties come, or sometimes a devotee while engaged in service makes a mistake. So when we make a mistake, or there is a difficulty or challenge, then the tendency of the mind is not to focus on the mistake. Oh, there was a mistake. There was some problem. The mind convinces us, I am the problem. So the tendency of the mind is to make the problem or the fault appear personal. And then not only it makes you take the problem personally, the second thing the mind will do is make you feel that everything I do, there is a problem. So it extrapolates and makes the problem pervasive. That when I do this, there is a problem. When I do this, there is a problem. When I do this, there is a problem. Then the mind starts convincing us that this problem is not particular, it is pervasive. And then the mind convinces us that now the blunder is so big, it is permanent. So therefore, when the mind has the tendency to make us feel that the mistakes we do or the challenges we experience are personal, pervasive and permanent, that's when, from the situation of having a difficulty, we become discouraged. When we become discouraged, we become depressed. And when we do not address that depression, ultimately we feel defeated. And when we are defeated, we think, let me deviate from this path. And that's how the deviation begins. And that's what Narottam Thakur says. Satsanga chhadi kaino asate vilas te karne lagilu karma bandhanas. As soon as we give up that satsanga, and why do we give up satsanga? Because that problem we have experienced is in satsanga only. And so we start thinking maybe the satsanga only is responsible for this difficulty. Satsanga chhadi. As soon as we give up asate vilas, immediately we start getting the taste in asat or sense gratification. And then karma bandhanas, we are trapped again in the karma bandhana. Vishaya vishama visha satata khayena Gaur Keshava rase magana hoya. And then when we start experiencing taste in sense objects, we stop getting the taste in Gaur Keshava. Magana hoya, the mind cannot get absorbed in the kirtan, the chanting of the holy name. And And therefore the question is asked, which is more deadly, wish or Vishay? Wish means poison, Vishay is sense object. So is poison more deadly or sense object is more deadly? So the answer is Vishay or sense object is more deadly than wish, poison. Why? Because wish or poison separates the soul only from the body, whereas Vishay, sense object, separates the soul from Krishna. And therefore, the Vishay rewinds the clock of the spiritual journey of the soul back by many lifetimes. And therefore, the Vishay is more deadly and dangerous than wish. And here, that is what is described, that when such a devotee, when he starts serving and he experiences difficulty, discouragement, depression, defeat, and starts deviating, he must then look at the beautiful lotus-like lips of the Lord. And the lips are smiling upon that devotee. Krishna is smiling, the deities are smiling, Dwarkadish is smiling. That smile of Krishna is the reassurance. Swakartmanam ivaraja sattvabhyam srishtipalakam. Krishna says, I will maintain your service. There are challenges, there are difficulties, you depend on me. I will help you overcome those difficulties, those challenges. You may be in a helpless situation, don't be hopeless. And so the smile of the Lord is reassuring and instills confidence, encouragement, determination, dedication. And then the devotee can continue performing the service even though there may be difficulties and challenges. So therefore, the deities are standing there to bestow their unlimited mercy upon us. Through their glance, they create spiritual desires. Through their smile, they sustain our spiritual desires. So both creation, through the reddish eyes, and sustenance through the smile of the Lord, which reveals the white teeth of the Lord. Both are very powerful, and therefore, when we come and offer prayers to the Lord, we are offering prayers with gratitude for the prosperity which the Lord has given us, and that prayer is extremely important. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is traveling towards Vrindavan after taking sannyas, Nityananda Prabhu realizes that after taking sannyas, the devotees in Navadvip are in such separation and such distress that if Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't go back, they will all commit suicide. So Nityananda Prabhu is very worried. And Nityananda Prabhu tells one of the cowherd boys who is there on the way, that when Lord Chaitanya comes this way and asks you which way is Vrindavan, instead of showing this way towards Vrindavan, show him the way towards Bengal. Because I want Lord Chaitanya to come back to Bengal. And that cowherd boy says, fine. And when Lord Chaitanya is dancing in ecstasy and on the way, he looks at the cowherd boy, there is a crossroads, he says, which way is Vrindavan? And the cowherd boy says, this way. And Lord Chaitanya follows. And Nityananda Prabhu is along with him. And Lord Chaitanya asks Nityananda, we are on the way to Vrindavan. And Nityananda Prabhu nods his head. And Lord Chaitanya comes dancing and he comes to Shantipur. He sees Ganga, he thinks it's Yamuna. And Lord Chaitanya jumps into the Ganga, starts swimming there, glorifying Yamuna Devi. Suddenly he sees a boat. And in that boat is Advaita Acharya. Lord Chaitanya looks at Advaita and says, oh Advaita, you never told me you are coming to Vrindavan. Lord, Advaita says, my dear Lord, this is not Vrindavan. This is Shantipur. Lord Chaitanya says, but this is Yamuna. He says, no, this is Ganga. Prabhu Bhai Nityananda Amare Vanshita Ganga ke Anya Mure Yamuna Bhai. So Nityananda was cheated, he has brought me to Ganga, saying this is Yamuna. So Advaita says, no, my dear Lord, as per convention after Prayagraj, when Ganga and Yamuna come together in Sangam and they flow, from Prayagraj till the Ganga reaches the ocean, the western bank is technically called Yamuna, Eastern bank is called Ganga. You are the western bank, so you are in heaven. And then Advaita says, my dear Lord, you are all wet and you must be feeling cold, come to my home. And Advaita makes a huge feast. His wife cooks like 750 kilos of rice, divided into 3 huge chunks, and thousands of vegetables. And Lord Chaitanya comes and sees Advaita Acharya offering all this to the home deities. And he's in ecstasy thinking all of these are being offered to the home deities and maybe distributed to the whole village or something. He doesn't know it is for him. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees all of these huge mounds, 3 mounds of rice, like a huge mountain, and on top there is a crater made. And in the crater is pure ghee, which is golden complexion poured onto that. And then the ghee soaks into the rice, and all the rice looks golden. Madhye pita gritasikta shalyanya stupcharike vyanjan roga arma visu. Seeing that, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he looks at Sri Advaita Acharya and he says that people think that practicing bhakti is difficult. But practicing bhakti is not difficult. Some people may think doing bhajan is difficult. But you don't have to really start with bhajan, you can begin with bhojan. By offering the bhojan to the Lord, which is you are expressing your gratitude to the Lord for all the prosperity He has given in terms of the food. And Lord Chaitanya says, Oiche anna je Krishna ke karai bhojan janme janme shire dharo tahar chan. He says, anyone who is in the Grihastha ashram and lives in his house, whatever they cook, if they offer to the Lord, if they cook with the intention that I am cooking to please the Lord, if that is the intention behind cooking, Aiche anna je Krishna ke karai bhojan, that I am cooking to feed Krishna. Lord Chaitanya says, Janme janme shire dharo tahar chan. I take the dust of the feet of such a devotee and place upon my head life after life. So that is how much the Lord is overwhelmed with gratitude when we are offering, which is a very simple thing which everybody has to do anyway. And if one can just do that much of adjustment, the Lord becomes so overwhelmed. And therefore, it is described, Acharya Shraddha Bhakti Griha Sampadhane Sakala Sakala Huila Prabhu Aradhani. Advaita Acharya offered Shraddha, his faith, Bhakti, devotion, Griha, his home, Sampad, all his prosperity, Dhana, his wealth, his assets, his property, and Dhan, everything he offered. Shraddha, Bhakti, Griha, Sampad, Dhane, Sakala Sakala Huila. Everything became successful. Why? Prabhu Aradhana. It was offered in the service of the Lord. And that's the whole idea of Vandanam. When we are offering thanksgiving, we are offering gratitude. Whatever prosperity we experience, let us offer prayers of gratitude to the Lord, acknowledging that whatever prosperity I am having is because of your grace. And it has to be expressed by the devotee in a very positive manner. Like in the 90s when I was in the Chopati Brahmachari ashram serving the deities, we would all get turns to serve. Some young fellow came and he had brought a bag and he gave the bag and he said, you offered this to the deities. I looked inside the bag, it was a pair of boxing gloves. I told the guy, you can't offer boxing gloves to the deities. Take it back. He said, I attended your Gita course, and in the Gita course they said, whatever new you get, you offer. So I am trying to follow the Gita. And you are supposed to be offering this and you are stopping. You do your business, you offer. You don't argue with me. So I offered those boxing gloves to the deities. I told the Lord Lordship, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to pray. But I'm just keeping in front of you and took it back. And when I gave it back to him, I asked him, now it is offered, what you will do with it? He said, I am a boxer by profession. Whoever I hit will get Gopinath's Mahaprasad. I said, okay, you heard that part of the class where you didn't hear the first part. What is the purpose of human life? To eat others? The purpose of human life and the time to be spent in human life is Agatha Brahma Jigyasa. So you begin by understanding the purpose of human form of life, and you understand who is providing me all the prosperity. So you look at the prosperity you're experiencing with your purpose, and when the purpose and the prosperity are connected, then we can offer prayer from the core of our heart. That's the idea of Kritagya Kono Seveta Guraradhyam Asamati. Bhakti is simple and easy for someone with a grateful heart who acknowledges that the prosperity which is coming in my life, the sampatti which is coming in my life, is because of the Lord's grace. So this is the first level of prayer. We pray in prosperity. Sunday we will discuss the next level, more difficult prayer. To offer prayers of gratitude in adversity. In prosperity is still easy, but in adversity, my dear Lord, thank you for smashing me. Thank you for smashing my plans. And that is more challenging, more difficult. But we will see how the great devotees look at adversity and how they are actually able to have the consciousness of gratitude even in adversity and in other kinds of situations. And offer their prayers. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We are very thankful to Mrs. Gaur Keshava for showering spiritual prosperity upon us by such a wonderful presentation on gratitude. So let us express gratitude by loudly chanting Hari Bo.
Hari Bo. Hari Bo.